Jason was exhausted. His feet ached and his back felt like it was on fire. His shift at the grocery store had been a nightmare. The aisles were a mess and the shelves were disorganized. Customers were rude, demanding and impatient. Spills were everywhere, making the place look like a disaster zone. Jason just wanted to go home. As he clocked out, his stomach rumbled loudly, reminding him he hadn't eaten since lunch. He was starving. Maybe some McNuggets, he thought to himself. The thought of crispy, hot McNuggets made his mouth water. It was a guilty pleasure, but after a day like today, who could blame him? He needed something to lift his spirits. Jason drove to the nearest McDonald's. He ordered a 20-piece McNugget meal, complete with fries and a large soda. With a sigh of relief, he grabbed his food and headed home. The smell of the food filled his car, making his hunger even more intense. His apartment was dark and quiet. Jason flicked on the lights and tossed his bag on the counter, eager to dig in. He was starving. He tore open the McNugget box and grabbed one, savoring the first bite. It was time to relax. Finally, he could unwind and enjoy his meal in peace, leaving the chaos of the day behind. Something was different about this particular McNugget. It wasn't just the appearance that was off, it had a strange, almost greenish hue to it. The color was unnatural, almost as if it was glowing under the dim light. The smell was off too, almost rotten. It was a pungent odor that made Jason's nose wrinkle in disgust. Jason hesitated. He should probably just throw it away, but his stomach growled, reminding him of his hunger. He was too hungry to care. He popped the McNugget into his mouth, hoping the taste wouldn't be as bad as the smell. It tasted off. A wave of nausea hit him almost immediately. The flavor was a mix of sour and bitter, unlike anything he had ever tasted. Jason swallowed hard, trying to ignore the taste. His throat felt tight as he forced the McNugget down. He took a large gulp of his Coke, hoping to wash down the strange flavor. The cold soda provided a brief relief. He had already eaten half the box. Surely one bad McNugget wouldn't hurt. He glanced at the remaining nuggets with uncertainty. He finished his meal and tossed the box in the trash. The thought of the strange McNugget lingered in his mind. Jason washed his hands, trying to ignore the lingering, putrid taste in his mouth. The water felt cool and refreshing against his skin. He felt strange. A dull ache started to form in his stomach. The discomfort grew, making him regret his decision to eat the McNugget. The pain intensified. It felt like something was gnawing at his insides. Jason doubled over. He stumbled to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. His reflection stared back at him, his face pale and contorted in pain. Then he noticed something odd. His reflection was off. It was smiling, a grotesque, wide, unnatural smile. Jason blinked. The smiling reflection remained. He stumbled back from the mirror, fear creeping into his gut. What was happening? The pain in his stomach intensified. He clutched at his abdomen, collapsing to the floor. Something was terribly wrong. He felt cold. A chill spread through his body despite the warmth of his apartment. His reflection continued to smile down at him. Section 4. The Chase. A low growl echoed from the living room. Jason slowly lifted himself off the bathroom floor, terror gripping his heart. The growling grew louder. He peeked out of the bathroom door. A large, shadowy figure darted past the hallway. He caught a glimpse of razor-sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. A wave of adrenaline surged through him. Jason knew he had to get out of the apartment. He scrambled to his feet and ran. He fumbled with the lock on his front door, his hands shaking. The doorknob finally turned. Jason threw open the door and sprinted into the night. He could hear the creature behind him. its heavy footsteps pounding the pavement, echoing through the empty streets. The sound was relentless, a constant reminder of the danger closing in. Jason glanced over his shoulder, his heart racing. The creature was gaining on him, its grotesque form illuminated by the dim streetlights. Panic surged through him as he realized he couldn't keep running forever. It was a grotesque mockery of a giant McNugget, its breaded exterior pulsating with an eerie green glow. The sight was both absurd and terrifying, a nightmare come to life in the most unexpected form. It lunged at Jason, its razor-sharp teeth bared in a silent snarl. The creature's movements were swift and predatory, leaving Jason with only moments to react. Jason ducked just in time, feeling the rush of air as the creature's claws swiped above him. He rolled onto his back, scrambling to put some distance between himself and the creature, his mind racing for a plan. He had to face it. He couldn't outrun it forever. Gathering his courage, Jason knew that this was the moment to stand his ground and fight back. Jason grabbed the first thing he could find, a loose brick from a nearby planter. His hands trembled as he picked it up, but he knew it was his only chance. He hurled it at the creature with all his might. The brick connected with a sickening thud, the impact reverberating through the night. The creature roared in pain, its scream echoing through the dark alley. The green glow flickered, and for a moment, Jason saw a glimmer of hope. He had hurt it, but the fight was far from over. The creature staggered back, momentarily stunned. This was his chance. Jason ran towards the creature. He jumped, bringing the brick down hard on the creature's head. The creature let out an ear-piercing shriek and exploded in a shower of sparks and grease. Jason collapsed onto the sidewalk, gasping for breath. What had just happened? Later, when the police arrived, Jason couldn't explain what he had seen. They found no trace of the creature. Jason was taken to the hospital, treated for shock and exhaustion. He knew what he had seen. He knew the truth. Later a nurse told him an old legend, a legend of a cursed McNugget. Legend said that a vengeful spirit resided within a single McNugget in random batches. If consumed, the spirit would be unleashed. Jason knew the legend was true. He had seen it with his own eyes. He shuddered. Somewhere out there, another batch of McNuggets was being made, and inside one, the curse waited.